Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I had a conversation come up this morning actually, and it was this whole idea of people doing fasted cardio, then drinking a post-workout recovery shake. And it reminded me of something Martin Berkhan once wrote back on his Lean Gains blog. And for those who don't know who he is, he's the guy who kind of got intermittent fasting popular again, minimalist training popular again, and who basically Kenobi or Kinobody, whatever you guys call him, the guy who basically Kinobody stole all of his material from and never gives him any credit for it. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing. Let's do a little bit of crafting and talk about this topic, because it's really one of those funny things that people do when you think about it. Now, Martin took it a step further than I would, but I believe that he said you get people who get up in the morning, get to the gym early. They get up an hour early so they can get to the gym, do 30 minutes of fasted cardio, burn 300 calories, then drink a 300-calorie recovery shake. He said they wasted an hour of their life for no progress if their goal was fat loss. And that's a valid point, because, guys, remember, fat loss is energy in, energy out once you're out of that novice phase and you've been training a little while, right? So what does he mean by that's worthless? Well, it's basically the whole world has been sold on these recovery shakes. Now, they go in and people do the fasted cardio, which the data suggests, at least stuff that Brad Schoenfeld and others have produced, that fasted cardio, because you haven't had any carbs when you do it, might actually burn slightly less fat than if you had some carbs first. Not a lot, just maybe a few calories of fat difference. But it's because you're not going to train as hard when you're fasted in terms of even cardio, so less calories burned, less fat loss. Because you're fasted doesn't mean you're necessarily going to burn more fat. Now, people on certain drugs, there might be benefits to that. But it's certainly not absolute. But so they're already burning potentially less fat. Well, what's the big deal about the recovery shake? You know, you're just replacing calories. Well, that's the problem. And when you really think about it, what is a post-workout recovery shake? What have people been convinced they need to take? Let me break it down for you. Fast-absorbing protein with sugars. No fiber, nutritionally void stuff. And it's basically foods that have very low satiety for the calories you're consuming. But people are convinced that they need to take these for the recovery afterwards. No, you really don't. If you're trying to create a calorie deficit, why in the world would you go do a bunch of cardio, burn 300 calories, and then replace it with junk food? Now, people are going to go, what do you mean junk food? It's fucking junk food. There's no fiber, there's no satiety, and it's just a bunch of processed crap. Post-workout recovery shakes are fucking junk food. I'm going to repeat that again. I want you guys to quote me on that. Post-workout recovery shakes are fucking junk food. It's no different than drinking a soda and eating a bite of chicken with it. In fact, I would say the chicken is probably better because it has more satiety and probably more different nutrient value than just these protein shakes do. They're just heavily refined garbage. It's just whey protein that people have made palatable by adding tons of stuff to it. But they're not healthy, they're not nutritious. It's just a protein source, it's a convenient protein source, but it has less satiety than eating something else that's actually higher in protein. And what do I mean by that? Alright, you could just as easily, for the same carbs and protein as these stupid ass shakes, you could eat other food. Or you could even, if you wanted the same nutritional value, maybe even better than these shakes, eat a candy bar and eat some Greek yogurt or some chicken breast. If you do that, you're going to get all the same benefits you would have gotten from these post-workout shakes, but they're going to taste better. I mean, seriously, if you're going to eat some junk food, eat something that tastes good. You really think a post-workout recovery shake tastes better than a Snickers bar? So if you're going to eat junk food, why do you eat this shit instead of something that actually tastes good? You're going to get the same satiety and same nutrition from it. And in fact, you'll get better satiety from the Greek yogurt, from the chicken breast. They're going to fill you up longer than the protein shake. Or you could just choose not to eat the junk food at all. But honestly, seriously, eating a Snicker bar and some Greek yogurt is actually superior for what you're trying to do, both in terms of taste and satiety, than these stupid shakes. But if you really, really were serious about losing body fat, you would just eat high satiety foods instead. Why wouldn't you just go eat a little bit of oatmeal or something before you train? You've got some carbs in. It's going to have some better satiety. It's going to fill you up longer. It's going to fuel your training, because you know what? Getting that in before you train is probably worth more for fat loss than a recovery afterwards. But it's going to fill you up a lot longer, and then maybe afterwards, if you really want some protein in, Eat a chicken breast, eat some Greek yogurt. It's going to fill you up longer than the protein shake, and it tastes better. And anyone who says, oh, my protein shake tastes amazing, well, if you buy expensive ones, yeah, I mean, like when I was getting the free ones from Tiger Fitness, the MTS whey, it was actually pretty good. I'm not going to lie, but look at the price tag you got to pay to get a decent tasting protein shake. And can you really tell me that that tastes better than some Whole Foods? Maybe. It certainly isn't going to have as much satiety, but as far as other junk foods go, there are junk foods that taste a hell of a lot better than even the best protein shakes that you've mixed dextrose in. There's no superiority for your health or society or nutrition to eat that shake, to drink that shake. In fact, drinking calories in general isn't ideal when you want to lose fat, and that's kind of the point we're getting to. So people go burn 300 calories and then replace those 300 calories with very, very low satiety food because they think they need to recover. You don't. In fact, you wouldn't even need to be worrying about getting a bunch of fast carbs in after you train if you had just getting enough carbs before you train. You could consume slower digesting carbs before that training. You're going to train harder, burn more calories, and stay fuller longer. Why wouldn't you just do that? It doesn't make any sense that people do these things. And it comes down to this nonsense that the industry has convinced people that they need different products that they don't actually need. They're not even helpful towards your goals. Again, they're just like, oh, you're going to need to replenish some glycogen. Well, why didn't you have your glycogen full to begin with? And then you wouldn't have burned as much of it. And you would have trained harder. Just eat some carbs first, some slower digesting stuff. But that's the crazy thing this industry tries to push on people, that when people want to lose fat, they'll pump them full of low satiety, heavily processed foods. That's the last thing you need to do. I mean, I'm telling you guys as someone who struggles with appetite, who has a voracious appetite, cutting is a bitch for me. And the very last thing I would want to do if my goal was serious fat loss, because you guys have seen me do it before. I've lost 100 pounds before in my first transformation because I was sick in bed, and I gained 100 pounds, and I did a transformation after all that. It's all documented on the channel. Do you think I did that by eating post-workout recovery shakes and sugar? Do you seriously think I did that? As someone like me who has an insane appetite, you think I lost 100 pounds eating shit like that? There's no way I would have a dextrose or sugar shake anywhere in my diet. There's no room for that. When you have a high appetite, that will absolutely stall your fat loss. Because here's what the data shows. I've linked that before too. There's plenty of data showing that highly refined carbs for people who have leptin issues or any issues with dopamine in their brain, meaning people who are predisposed to addiction, which includes food addiction and sugar addiction, not just drugs and alcohol. Those of us who produce more dopamine, someone like me, that's why I don't ever touch. I've been scared to use street drugs because of certain addicts and stuff in my family, certain things that are addicted my whole life because I know I'd be an addict. So I just avoid doing them. But we have data on that now at this point that I've linked in the past showing that people who consume sugary foods, highly processed sugar foods or extremely processed carbs without any fiber re-put back in it, what happens? You get hungrier for your next meal. So when you eat those, your next meal, you're going to eat 100 or 200 more calories than you would have eaten otherwise as a result of the response, the dopamine response from consuming those carbs. So if you're someone who's trying to lose body fat, and we know this happens to all people, but particularly people who are have dopamine issues in their brain. Again, people predisposed genetically to addiction, but all people tend to do it. That when you eat highly refined carbs, the next meal that you eat, you tend to overeat as a result of it. So what these people are doing who take in these shakes are not only replacing with junk food the calories they burned, they're predisposing them to overeat on their next meal. That's not a viable fat loss strategy, not at all. Particularly if you have a serious appetite at all, or you get hungry easily, again, someone like me, that would be disastrous. Absolutely disastrous. In fact, a strategy like that for people who are predisposed to certain things, again, addiction, overeating, that strategy could actually make you gain fat on your cut because you're going to get hungrier. You're going to not only replace the calories you just burned doing cardio, but you're going to get even hungrier for your next meal, and you're going to end up overeating. You have a much higher chance of overeating. So it's the most stupid idea ever, but again, this industry has convinced people that they need these silly-ass recovery products. These recovery shakes are nothing more than junk food. They're garbage. In fact, even someone trying to lose weight, I wouldn't even drink a whey shake. Why would you do that? Get something that you can chew. Get a protein source that digests nice and slow, that you actually have to chew and taste. That's going to fill you up better. That's going to fill you up a lot better than any of these shakes will. But again, why isn't that talked about more in the industry? Why isn't that promoted? Because supplement companies can't sell you whole food. They can't sell you a chicken breast or Greek yogurt. They can't sell you oats. They can't sell you brown rice. They can't sell you whole wheat pasta. That's not in their business. The only way they're selling you whole wheat pasta is if they added protein powder to it. And they do that. Protein pancakes. But ultimately, you know what still tastes better than a protein pancake? Some normal blueberry pancakes with a chicken breast or a lean cut of steak on the side. That tastes even better, and it's inexpensive. It's about the same cost to do that, to get yourself a nice little lean cut of steak or grilled chicken breast or a cup full of fat-free Greek yogurt, and eat that with your pancakes. Which one do you think tastes better and is going to fill you up longer? So ultimately, at the end of the day, supplement companies don't promote things that they can't sell, and they're going to promote ideas that they can sell just to get people to buy products that they don't need, and in this case, products that might actually shortchange your efforts. So ultimately, I agree with Martin Berkhan on his statement that people who do this have wasted an hour of their life every morning. Alright guys, so that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.